Hello, everybody. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Debbie Eno from Teacher Success Coach with another episode of the Female Educators Roundtable. And today, one of the areas we're looking at is educators, female educators, their journey before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. How have they navigated that in relationship to themselves, in relationship to the students, and in relationship to the health and well-being, both for the students and for themselves? And what have they taken out from the online platform back into the physical classroom? So I've got another female educator from really across around the world. She's far from us, right? Talia, introduce yourself and thank you very much for accepting the offer to come on. Tell us about yourself and tell us, what country you come from, the age group you teach, and what it was like for you guys.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you. My name's Talia. I'm a teacher of year 5, which is the ages 10 and 11 years old in Australia. So Queensland's our state. My first year of teaching was actually in COVID. So that was just a challenge in itself because I was just getting used to the job and used to being a teacher in itself. So then once we went to online, that was another whole learning curve, and then back to normal, and then having to learn that. And then we only went online once. So the parents only homeschooled for about maybe 2 weeks to 5 weeks at most. Yeah, ours was really short. So there wasn't too much homeschooling involved. There was a delay last year to the school starting because of COVID, but there was no learning. We just squished it in to just our normal terms and our teaching. So our teaching was just kind of condensed, and so some things were cut out, but nothing too important, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you guys did not. So you did not homeschool for a long period. You say it was only what? Just a few weeks.
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't a whole, because our terms are usually 10 weeks. It wasn't a whole term or anything. But then that's just Queensland. So the other states, I know Melbourne, Victoria, they had a longer lockdown and a longer online teaching platform than us.
Okay. So during COVID, you guys went back into the physical classroom.
Yeah. And then there was a stage there where we were just wearing masks. And because I had, at that stage, I didn't have the year 5 students. I had the preps, which are the first year of school, and they're the 5-year-olds. So they didn't have to wear masks, and it was pretty hard because they're really touchy at that age, and trying to get them separated. We did just separate the desks to the best that we could, but even with that, it was pretty hard.
It would be, because as you rightly said, that age group, they're very touchy-feely. They want cuddles and all of that because they're only 5 years old.
Yeah, that's
oh my goodness. So how many children did you have at that time?
I'm pretty sure I had about 22.
Okay. So were you an only teacher in the classroom, or you had another teacher supporting you?
I had another teacher aide. So if you have the first year of school, usually you have an aide that's not quite a qualified teacher, but they're qualified in being a teacher aide. So I did have her in the classroom as well.
Okay. So how were you able to navigate this whole new thing with the 5-year-olds in terms of the hand washing, in terms of the distance, in terms of not being able to cuddle you guys? What was it like for you and the children?
It was pretty hard, but then we could just do it to the best that we could. We just had the hand sanitizer going, and I had a lanyard and I just had hand sanitizer on that as well. We just kept reminding them and put on videos about washing your hands and just counting every time they wash their hands to make sure it was 20 seconds. So there was a few songs that we used as well that helped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do you think that the children coped?
I don't really think, well, the 5-year-olds, some of them had no idea what was going on. I think some of them just thought it was normal because they were the first year of school, so they were just going into school. So I think they thought, oh, this is what school's like. So I think they didn't think of it any different. I think if I had the grade I have now, that would have been a lot different because they've known years of school and what school's like.
That's interesting though, because the fact that these children were new to school, for them this was a norm for them because they don't know anything different. So
that's it.
Yeah. So I suppose on those bases, it would have been slightly easier in a way because they don't know anything. So therefore they're coming into this, oh well, don't touch, things like that.
Yeah.
So when you came back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, after your 5 weeks or 6 weeks, when you came back in, you had the same group of students, right? The same group of children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So another thing is, how did you think that in terms of the mental health, in terms of these children, yes, it was normal to them because they didn't know any differently, but they must have had issues going on at home whereby, their parents would have been discussing the anxiety of the parents. How was it for those children?
I think because they were given the option, if they wanted to come back to school, they could, but if it wasn't made so they didn't have to go back to school, if parents didn't want their kid to be there, they could have kept their kid back longer. So I think they didn't really have that issue either because they were given that option. And then some kids, so coming back, it was like dispersed numbers. I would have maybe 5 the first day, and then slowly over the rest of the term, they'd all come back when the parents felt it was safe.
Right. Okay. So you had a kind of a like stagnated return, but wasn't for your guys doing it, was the parents were making a decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the original when it first happened, but when it happened a second time, I think it was more because we'd been around it before. You can take your kids to school and the government had said it was safe to do so.
Okay. Thank you for that. The other thing is,
okay.
So you guys had 2 sets of lockdown, right?
Well, Queensland, if I remember, I only really remember the first one in the area that I'm living at because I'm north the main city by about 12 hours. I know the actual main city had a few more lockdowns than us, but for me, I only had the one because I'm a bit more isolated. But even the bigger cities like Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, they had quite a few lockdowns. We didn't have many.
Okay. Is it because COVID did not affect you guys so much, or is it what?
I think because Australia is so spread out, it takes like 12 hours to get to the main capital of the state I'm in. So it takes 12 hours to get down there. So it is, all the towns are sort of isolated and there's not much in between. So you're kind of just stuck in little bubbles because we weren't allowed to travel to the other sort of towns.
Okay. So you've had, you actually can't even tell me before COVID, right? Because you came into teaching in COVID, right?
Yeah.
My goodness. So what is like now that, you're out of COVID and you're back into what is now a normal, normality in terms of teaching, etc. What has it been like? Has it, as a new teacher, right?
Yeah.
Did you think that, how have that impacted you as a new teacher?
Well, I think it was definitely a sink or swim situation. A lot of people that I was teaching with, and they ended up leaving. And then if
Yeah.
teachers didn't get vaccinated, then heaps of teachers just decided to do other jobs or just stay at home if they were autoimmune and stuff like that. So I saw a lot of people leave, I guess, and that I could have been one of them because it was new to me, but I just stuck it out, and it's a lot better now, I guess, because like we don't have all that pressure of like teaching online or giving work out online. It's just nice to not wear a mask when you're teaching. They can see your facial expressions and understand what you're saying. That was another struggle with having the first grader school too, because you're teaching them sounds and they need to see like your face to form the sounds. But yeah, it's just nice not having any of that anymore and just being able to just get in and yeah, because a lot of kids, they learn visually or hands-on and face-to-face.
So when the children saw you wearing mask, right? Did they ask you, Miss, why are you wearing mask? Did they question you?
When I had the 5-year-olds, when it was first coming in, they did, because they'd never seen any of that before. But after a while, then some of the kids started to bring it in. It wasn't mandatory for kids to wear masks, just the adults, but a few of them started to bring it in. So it was made to be sort of normal at that time.
Okay, so thank you for that. So why didn't you leave teaching, bearing in mind you were either sinking or swimming and you're new to teaching and it was a whole different ballgame from what you were taught when you were training?
I don't know why I stopped. I guess because I knew, like, I had an idea of what it would be like. So I think I was just holding out for that. And I was still in the classroom. So even though the kids weren't there, we were still able to sit in our classroom and be online. So I still had the feel for it. It wasn't like I was sitting at home teaching the kids, I guess, because then that wouldn't really feel like I'm not in the atmosphere of the classroom. So I think that helped as well, like knowing that I'll be in here with them in the future. Yeah, I don't know, I just stuck it out, and I just completed uni, so I thought I don't want to just waste my degree, and yeah.
It's interesting, thank you. So now that you're fully back into the classroom, right? What have you taken? Because for you, your experience was rather unique because you've just qualified as a teacher and here you are teaching online and teaching in a very, very different way, different atmosphere, and using masks and having to navigate all of that. So now that you've gone back, right, what have you taken away from the online platform or in terms of, also in terms of your experience as a teacher, coming into the profession new?
Yeah, I guess I've taken away like patience and understanding, and I know it gave me like a sense of more of a duty of care for the kids as well, which is good. And just because I think people got a bit lazy with like hand washing and hand sanitizing and stuff, especially in schools. So that's been good. And just the cleaning and of the desks and things like that. So that's been a takeaway. Yeah, and just appreciating actually being face to face with them, and not just handing work out online and having it face to face where they can actually complete it in front of you. Because another thing that was happening is they weren't completing it at home. So at least now, like, you can see what they're doing and you know where they're at in terms of levels and things like that.
Thank you. Do you think now that you're back in the physical classroom, do you feel like more of a teacher?
Yeah, definitely. Because before it just kind of felt like I was just emailing all the time, and yeah, I wasn't in front of the whiteboard. And yeah, I feel like I'm actually planning like a teacher would and teaching how a teacher should, sort of thing.
So in terms of you actually, been thrown in the deep end, sink or swim, how would you say that, when you look at it, how would you say that you've actually come out of this?
I think I've came out of it better, because I know if I had gotten through that, then I can get through other things in my teaching career.
So in terms of, now that you're teaching an older group, right? In terms of all of that, what is teaching feel like to you right now? How does it feel in terms of, your ability to stay in teaching, or, how does teaching feel for you?
No, I really like it. And because this year I've just made a jump from the 5-year-olds to the 10 and 11-year-olds, it's been really good for me, because I'm able to actually get them to silent read, whereas the preps that I had before, they can't read, they're learning to read. So at least these kids, they're a bit more mature, a bit older, they have a bit more independence, they're able to help out around the classroom, and they're able to write full sentences and narratives and things like that. So I've been really enjoying it this year, having the older kids and just actually, yeah, being able to like teach to the best of my ability, sort of thing. So yeah, it's been really good, the transition.
Thank you. That's interesting, because the thing is, being a new teacher and then coming into COVID, and then, how were you able to plan? How were you planning your lessons?
Well, we kind of all sat down together, so my team and I, during that time, and just worked out simple things to give to the parents, because we knew that they might not be able to understand some of our terminologies and things like that. So we kind of just sat down all together and decided what to give them with looking at what we had.
And how do you and how you think the parents actually navigate that? How do you think the parents, in terms of appreciation, right? Because I know, like during COVID, we were getting so much sticks that, I don't understand why teachers are not going back. So how was it for you guys? Were you guys getting the negative press as we were getting here?
Yes and no. We used to call in, every school's different, but for me, I used to call like every parent, I think it was weekly, just to check in and see how they were doing. And some of them would just give me short answers, and some of them would say, yeah, we've been through all this, and my child really liked doing this. And so it wasn't too negative, I think, because there was a lot of external pressure. I think because I had checked in with them, they were okay.
So you feel, thank you. So you feel that communication played a major part, because the fact that you were
definitely.
able to communicate with them, you felt that they were more receptive to you.
Yeah, definitely. Because then they'd share like if they got COVID or how they were, as well, how they were doing. They'll say, oh, we actually haven't got to any of the learning at home because of this. And then I'll just try and understand from their point of view and just talk to them and say, that's fine. Yeah, just when you can, sort of thing.
So therefore, there was that reassurance element in terms of, when the parents know that they would be reassured, it made it easier for them in terms of less pressure than the pressure that we had to to finish off the work, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. So how, now that you're back and in terms of mental health and you have older children, what is it like in terms of their behavior, their attitude to learning, and in terms of the mental well-being? What are those three areas like, especially the behavior?
The behavior's pretty good, actually. I've recently moved to this new school and it's a bit outside of the coastline, so it's inland, and so it's sort of like a country area, and they're a bit more easygoing. Like they've had responsibilities growing up. They've had to work with cattle and farming lands. So, oh, hang on, I've got my alarm happening. Yeah, sorry. So they're, because they've had more life experience, I guess they're a bit more mature, and they're, I don't know, I just find there's not really any kids that are going to purposely hit or kick someone. They're just, I don't know, they're more willing to be receptive to things, I guess. So I haven't had the behavior problem as much here.
Okay. So you're teaching, so you're more or less in the countryside, right? So, you know, it's like animals and stuff and all of these things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
lots of cane farms for sugar.
oh, wow. And in terms of, so in terms of that, all these children are all, you know, education for them is a must, right? Not, you know, because they're young now. And how many of them saying to you that, oh, I want to, you know, to follow in my parents' footsteps in terms of, you know, being on the farm? Are there any of this, because they're 11 years old, any of them say that they want to do those type of stuff, or they're looking for external careers?
Yeah, definitely. There's heaps of them that say they want to do that, and it makes it easier if it's coming from their family. There's also some mines out here, so a lot of them have said, like, I want to go out and work in the mines here as well. So they're pretty already set on what they want to do. And I guess school for them too, because they are out on a farm and it's just them and their family. Like school for them is such a important social thing for them, so they want to come to school, they want to see their friends, because they might not necessarily get to see anyone their age otherwise.
Right. So for this group of children you're teaching, in terms of education, is a socialization for them?
In a way, I do think they see it that way. I do think they know education is important and for their learning, but they also see it socially beneficial too.
That's interesting. So which aspect which aspect you like, where you were before or now in the countryside? The countryside just sounds lovely.
Yeah, no, I definitely like it because, yeah, I haven't been around it at all, really. So it's been like a nice, refreshing learning curve, I guess.
Thank you. Another thing is, what have you taken away from the online platform that you are now using in the physical classroom?
I think just a lot more of the online systems, I guess, just things like YouTube and things like that. Just the online planning forms. I guess these sort of meetings that we never used to have, but nowadays that we have lots of Teams meetings or Skypes and stuff like that. So it's been good for like learning about online things. And I think we used to use the video recorder on our screen. I never knew how to use any of that before. So that's been good for other things in the classroom.
Okay. What, in terms of your mental health, how do you think that the school you are now in, or the school you were in before, how do you think that they actually supported you in relationship to your mental health? And how was it able to help you to support the children?
Yeah, I think they were pretty understanding. They sort of just said if you if you have a concern, just come and speak to us. If you're like autoimmune or things like that, if you don't feel comfortable, come and speak to us. So I think they were pretty good at that communication. It was hard for me initially because I'd moved here and I was living in a house by myself when I was coming here because I moved for the teaching position. So I did struggle a lot because when we did have the lockdowns, like it would just be me in a town that I didn't know anyone for 12 hours away from friends and family. So that was difficult. And I guess I was just supported by, because they were my only sort of network that I had, the teaching staff. So I guess just communication really helps like my mental well-being. And yeah, I think they just they knew that about me as well. So I think that helped, just having discussions.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Thank you. What 3 tips would you give to a new teacher who probably would have thought of, oh, you know, I don't feel that I want to continue teaching because, you know, some of the anxiety they had during COVID and now going back to the classroom? What 3 tips would you give them?
I guess one is you're going to have good days and bad days, no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it for. I still speak to some people that have been out of school since it opened and they still tell me they still have bad days now. So that's normal. The second one is, I guess, if you're not happy in a certain school or grade, the year level, like, don't feel afraid to change schools or change the grade you're teaching, the age of the kids. That might make all the difference. And 3, I guess, just work-life balance. Like, don't just see teaching as your whole identity. Make sure you have time outside of it for yourself and do things that you like, if it's going to the gym or going for a walk, reading a book, just as long as it's not school related, so you give yourself time to reset. Yeah, so I think those are my 3 tips.
Thank you. How do you maintain a work-life balance? How do you maintain that?
I'm pretty good. A lot of teachers don't do what I do. I think I'm pretty rare because a lot of teachers bring their work home or their computer home and they'll be doing it until hours of the early morning. But I guess I just leave my laptop, all my work at school, and I don't touch it until I get to school the next morning. Even if I have to, I will just do my work in my lunch break there, just so I don't go home thinking about work. So I guess I just set those boundaries with myself, and even with emails, because you can get emails on your phone now, and a lot of teachers have their emails on their personal phone. I did have it at one stage, but now I've just deleted the whole application off my phone just so it's kept separate from personal life and work life. So again, just setting boundaries with yourself.
It's interesting because, thank you for that. What you've said in terms of a lot of teachers have the work email on the phone. For me, it's a no-no. When I get in there, it doesn't matter if I have to be running in there to quickly put on that computer so I know what I'm doing before I start my lesson. That's what I do. I do not want it on my phone. I'm not interested in having emails on my phone. I don't check I don't log onto the school system. That's one of the aspects. I do see that because a lot of teachers, when they're actually doing the register, they're doing the register from their phone. No, do it on the school laptop. So
yeah, and it's I don't know about over there, but that's because we pay for our data on our phone too. So again, like, if you're doing it on your own phone, like, it's costing you more out of your own pocket too to have your work emails there.
Exactly. Yeah. But some of them said, oh, well, it's much easier. No. I start at now, let's say when I start at 8:30, I'm getting in there for 8 o'clock. If something happens, I'm just trying to log on everything at the same time, so at least I know what I'm supposed to be doing when I come in. So at least I know what is the. I am not. I just think it's wrong, which means that, as you rightly said, there's no work-life balance, there's no boundaries, because you have everything mishmash. As a new teacher, that is so fantastic that you've actually started the boundaries and the separation, because as new teachers, some of the anxiety that they come in with, that they feel that they have to get it right and do it all. And it's beautiful that you are leaving your work at work and then you're going home. It's very challenging to do, because I don't know how you manage it. I understand the 4-1, but I don't know how you manage in terms of your planning and in terms of your marking.
Okay. Well, we usually have planning days. So we'll have half a day or a day. This school I haven't yet though, but I've sat down before school started with my teaching partner and we sort of planned out the whole 10 weeks together. So I think because we've already done our planning, it's just easier to walk in the morning and know what I'm doing. I can just look at our weekly plan, so I know what I'm teaching. Because it's already all done. We just smashed it early on.
So how do you do your marking?
Marking? Well, it depends what it is. So with, say, for example, homework, I get the kids, I'll do the answers and they tick it. So I guess, so it's not so much on me. If it's something simple like that, then they can mark it. Or if it's sort of a practice English writing activity, you can always get them to swap with a partner. They can mark their partner's work and look for mistakes. So little things like that help. We do have time that we get, sort of non-contact time, a few hours a week, just when the kids go to a specialist like Japanese, or they go to the arts or PE. We'll get time then and we can mark the kids' work then. And I guess, I do a little bit when they're silent reading for 10 minutes as well, just squeeze in a little bit, or while they're still working, because they're older, if they're quietly working, I'll sit up the back and watch them, and they'll bring their work over to me and I'll mark it as they go, so they're getting that feedback straight away as well. So I guess I just take the pressure off, so it's not piles on my desk, it's just spread out over the week.
That's a very smart way of doing it, because the fact is, as I said, as a new teacher, you've actually nailed it in terms of doing the marking, the life, work-life balance. That's fantastic. It really is good. And in terms of setting the boundaries as well, because, you say you don't take things home, and, that's fantastic. Unfortunately, I take things home, because I still have a pile of marking.
Hard.
It is, because we were off last week. I still have some marking still to complete, because, I started doing that. I thought, oh, I'm off for the week. Let me take, be off, The consequence of being off and saying, yes, take it off. I have this file I have to finish marking by Monday. So even though I have non-contact time, it's like the hours just go, I'm trying to plan and all. It just doesn't
go so quick.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It
does. And I
guess another thing to keep the boundaries, in my first year when I was just starting, I didn't sign up to do any of the extracurricular sort of things. So I didn't sign up to any committees. I didn't put my hand up to take any sports teams as part of the school, the extra workload. So straight up, because I just wanted to learn how to be a teacher in the classroom, I didn't do any of that, because if I had that on my plate, that was an extra pressure coming from left, right, and center pretty much. So now that this is my 4th year, I've joined a committee, and now like I'm coaching one of the touch football teams for the school as well. So I guess that's another thing, like don't take on while you have already too much on your plate. So like you can do it when you have a free time, and things might change too. Like if you have family things happen, like you can always back down too, and don't feel like you have to like keep up what you've been doing. Yeah,
I think that's wonderful in terms of, you know, the tips are fantastic, especially as I keep saying, the work-life balance. I love it, you know, and the not taking work home. I'm trying to get to that space. I told myself when I go back, it is when I go back, you know, I'm going to try to do less of that taking and mark. I need them to peer mark a lot more than I'm doing. That's something I've consciously told myself when I go back I'm going to do. But in terms of the boundaries, I've got that sorted, because I don't take anything at home in terms apart from the marking. I'm not looking at any email. I'm not interested. Don't bother, because it's not on my phone.
Yeah, and that's good.
Exactly. And I think it's wrong when it's on your phone. It means that you don't have a break. You're constantly
just accessible all the time.
Yeah, because it's like I'm looking at some of my colleagues, and you know, they're scrolling on the phone, and I'm thinking, really? And they're using, you know, they've got the register on the phone, so they're taking the register on the phone. I said, no, come on, computer, put on my computer, and I take the register, not on my phone. I'm not. You know, so as a newly qualified teacher, I love that. I love that. Thank you very, very much. Is there anything else you want to say to us before we say goodbye to the audience?
Oh, no, I think that's okay. Thank you so much for having me. And it's been good to get to know what you do over there as well.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And I must say, I would commend you as a new teacher in terms of having the boundaries and say, not on my phone. It was on my phone before, I'm taking it up. I think that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Other teachers need to listen to this and really take a leaf out of that, because it's important, because too many new teachers end up, you know, sinking, overwhelmed, overworked, and is not stepping away to look into the situation. You know, it's like having the things on the phone, and you know, all the details on the phone, because they feel they must. If they don't, I think they feel they're missing out. So it's wonderful that you could actually tell us that, no, you're not missing out anything. You know, I need my work-life balance. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for listening to the platform. It is important that educators out there, that you have a work-life balance, because just constantly at it, it doesn't make you a better teacher. It makes you a tired and a burnout teacher.
Yeah.
That's what it does. It doesn't make you any better. It just makes you a burnout teacher and a tired teacher, who always grumpy and having to, you know, as a result of your tiredness, you end up shouting at the children. You know, that's not good. It's like what someone said to me yesterday, her 7-year-old, you know, how the teachers are actually dealing with these children, because the teachers are so tired that they're shouting. They may not intend to shout, but due to tiredness, they're not able to separate it, and being too overwhelmed. It's just happening. So educators, you need to take a step back. You need to look in, and you need to realize that work-life balance is massively important for your well-being and your ability to give the children what they really need, instead of the negative energy as a result of you being tired. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Take care, stay blessed, and I will see you guys soon.